This just happened, and it's already putting all Bills fans on high alert. Recent information straight from behind the scenes reveals that the franchise may make an unexpected decision, one that changes the rumors of an entire season. It's something big, strategic, and involves an extremely important piece of the roster. I managed to gather details that haven't yet reached the major news outlets, and the truth behind it is surprising. But before I reveal everything exclusively, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because what I'm about to tell you could affect the future of the Bills. The NFL season goes by faster each year, and despite the Buffalo Bills boasting a solid 6-3 record and fighting hard for a playoff spot, analysts are already turning their attention to what the franchise could be like in the 2026 offseason. According to Brad Gagnon of Bleacher Report, a veteran on the Buffalo roster could quietly become the most valuable asset for trades next year. Gagnon highlights 29-year-old cornerback Taran Johnson, known for his discipline, reliability, and leadership as a veteran, as the most likely candidate to be traded should the Bills decide to reshape his future. Gagnon points out that other names frequently mentioned by fans, such as Greg Rousseau, would be significantly more difficult to trade. Rousseau's future depends heavily on Buffalo's draft strategy and long-term decisions. The deadline involves important contracts on the defense, including those of Joey Bosa and A.J. Epinesa. Their current contract structure also makes negotiations much more difficult to conduct. Johnson, on the other hand, is in a very different position. He is experienced, productive, and occupies a position where Buffalo now has depth, with young talent developing and seasoned veterans capable of stepping up when needed. But the real question is, would the drafters actually consider trading him? Johnson remains one of the most reliable defenders on the roster. He reports mental errors, communicates effectively at all levels of the defense, and often dictates the pace in the slot with his physicality and awareness. Coaches include him, teammates follow his lead, and he has been part of the core identity of Buffalo's secondary for years. Even so, the potential return for him would likely be modest. Most analysts believe a third-day draft pick is realistic value, meaning the only scenario in which a trade would make sense would be driven by salary cap urgency. At the moment, Johnson is not seen as a problem. In truth, he is part of the solution. But the billboard has already shown a willingness to make unexpected and unplanned moves, especially when salary cap pressure mounts or when time dictates the need to revamp the roster with younger, cheaper talent. The fact that Johnson's name is being mentioned so early indicates that he's not on the radar, not because he's performing poorly, but because he's valuable enough to attract interest without compromising the integrity of the defense. And while Taran Johnson's future generates debate for the upcoming offseason, the truth is that the immediate focus isn't on the market, it's on the field. And what's coming up in Week 11 brings serious concerns that Buffalo can't ignore. While the Bills grapple with discussions about their long-term future, the immediate challenge ahead becomes impossible to ignore. Week 11 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Although Buffalo enters the game as favorites, this game presents a far greater danger than many fans realize. With the AFC East competition becoming increasingly tight and every win now crucial, the Bills must address four major concerns that could determine whether they remain firmly in the playoff race or find themselves in a difficult situation. The first concern is directly tied to the playoff situation. Buffalo is already a game and a half behind the Patriots, and since New England holds the tiebreaker advantage due to the head-to-head record, the Bills cannot afford another stumble. A loss to Tampa Bay would leave them about 2.5 games behind, creating a scenario where every remaining game becomes a high-pressure, must-win situation. At this stage of the season, this type of disadvantage can be devastating, especially with tougher opponents ahead. The second major threat comes from Baker Mayfield, who has transformed into one of the most reliable quarterbacks in the 2025 class. The inconsistent performances that once defined his career have fought back. This season, Mayfield has produced explosive scoring results, declared excellent pocket control, and committed few errors. When he finds his rhythm, he becomes extremely difficult to stop. Buffalo's defense needs to maintain discipline, avoid marking errors, and constantly pressure him to prevent long plays that change the course of the game. The third concern revolves around rookie receiver Emeka Egbuka, a rising star whose speed and route accuracy make him dangerous on every play. Coaches across the league echo the same warning. Egbuka needs to find space, regardless of coverage. His ability to stretch the field vertically forces defenses to be on their toes every second. With the Bills' secondary dealing with recent injuries, preventing Egbuka from making explosive plays becomes a top priority this week. And then comes the fourth and possibly most disruptive factor, Jamel Dean, the Buccaneers' decisive cornerback. In 2025, Dean has been relentless, racking up interceptions, forcing turnovers, and consistently nullifying long pass attempts. For Josh Allen, who excels at aggressive long passes, Dean represents a constant threat. Allen needs to be aware of Dean's positioning at all times because a poorly calculated long pass can instantly change the course of the game. These four concerns bring urgency and tension to a matchup that Buffalo cannot afford to underestimate. And if these challenges weren't enough, the situation becomes even more complex when we consider the biggest variable of all: player availability. Injuries on both sides can completely change the course of the game, which leads us directly to the next crucial update on who is ready and who is questionable for Week 11. With the dangers identified on both sides and the pressure of the AFC race mounting, there's one last element that could completely reshape the Bills-Buccaneers matchup: the medical report. At this stage of the season, availability becomes as important as talent, and both teams enter Week 11 grappling with significant absences and last-minute uncertainties. The smallest detail, a player in, a player out, can decide the course of this matchup. Starting with Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers end the week dealing with three key players who didn't practice. Forward Ben Bredeson is out with a hamstring injury, a major concern for a unit already strained to protect Baker Mayfield. Even more damaging is the absence of star Hassan Reddick, who continues to struggle with ankle and knee issues. Without him, Tampa loses its primary threat on the defensive line. Linebacker Anthony Nelson is also out due to illness, further weakening Tampa's defensive roster. Several other Buccaneers players had limited participation in practices, raising uncertainty about how close they are to full fitness. Wide receiver Chris Godwin Jr. played with a fibula injury, while running back Bucky Irving dealt with shoulder and foot issues. If some of them aren't 100%, Tampa's offense loses excitement and potential for explosive games. Meanwhile, defensive tackle Vita Vea, one of the league's most impactful defensive linemen, had limited participation due to a back injury. His situation is crucial. If he underperforms, the Buffalo Bills may finally find opportunities in the running game. Safety. Antoine Winfield also appeared in the report with a foot problem, raising questions about Tampa's ability to handle long passes and lateral throws from Josh Allen. On the Bills' side, the report brings a mix of concern and trouble. Tight end Dalton Kincaid did not practice due to a hamstring injury, a worrying sign considering his importance as one of Buffalo's most consistent experimental weapons. Defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis also missed practice with a shoulder issue, easing the rotation on the defensive line. But Buffalo also received a wave of positive news. Several defensive starters returned to full participation, including A.J. Epinesa, who was cleared from concussion protocol, and linebackers Shaq Thompson, Dorian Williams, and Terrell Bernard. Their return restores stability to the center of the defense. Pass rusher Joey Bosa practiced fully, giving the Bills the firepower needed to pressure Mayfield throughout the game. Secondly, the availability of Taran Johnson and Christian Benford is crucial, especially with rookie star Emeka Egbuka on the other side of the field. Wide receiver Khalil Shakir and defensive end Cam Lewis had limited participation, but are showing a tendency to improve, suggesting Buffalo may enter Week 11 with more roster options than expected. Is the focus on developing young talent or sacrificing key players now to free up salary cap space and prepare time for a strategic approach? Leave your opinion here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later to update you with the latest Buffalo Bills news.